Sunday night, another crowd gathered outside a Portland police building, this time in southeast Portland. Before it was done, some in the crowd turned violent toward officers, throwing rocks and eggs and other items, according to police. Police arrested 29 people. 2 had guns. One was carrying legally, the other was not, according to officers. This is one reason Governor Kate Brown is sending state police to help Portland officers. And then there's the weekly violent clashes between the supporters of President Trump and counter-protesters on the weekends. Police are often outnumbered, and while they do make arrests, lots of violence goes unchecked. The governor said she hopes Clackamas and Washington counties will send deputies to help put down the violence in the city.
I am hopeful this plan will work. If it doesn't work, we will try something else.
I asked why not send in the National Guard, at least during the weekends when the big numbers from both sides show up.
It does seem that if you could bring 2,000 men and women into Portland to protect the public buildings, that would tip the scales, wouldn't it?
I think that's a really good question, and I think people are asking that. But if these folks are not trained in crowd control and not trained in law enforcement, then you're not putting the right seats in the right location. You're not putting the right personnel to do the right job. And that's what we need now.
Portland Mayor Ted Wheeler is getting criticized by both sides now. President Trump ridiculed him on Twitter, calling him wacky, radical, left-do-nothing mayor. On the other side, 6 Portland-based groups ranging from the Democratic Socialists of America to Portland's Resistance have called for the mayor to resign. They argue the violence over the weekend was a result of a lack of leadership from Ted Wheeler.
Local elected officials are making the best decisions that they can with the information that they have at the time. Obviously, I would put Mayor Wheeler in that category as well.
But Governor Brown.
30 minutes ago, the Clackamas County Sheriff's Office said they will not be sending their deputies in to help in Portland. And the sheriff there, Craig Roberts, really ripped into the way that things are being done here in Multnomah County. He said if you want to really stop these protests and the violence, you need to, number one, have the district attorney charge and follow through and prosecute the people that are committing the crimes. And number 2, you have to have the judges stop releasing people with no bail, because his argument is that people are being arrested, released, arrested again, and it just goes on and on and on. After he released his statement, the 2 largest police organizations in Oregon issued similar statements critical of the way that criminal justice is being done here in Multnomah County. Back to you.
Pat Doors live for us. Thank you, Pat.